Hello everyone, hope you all are doing well. Welcome to our We Educate channel. Today we'll be dealing about the economic and the political thoughts of Mahatma Gandhi part 3, and I hope that you have watched the other two parts that are already uploaded before this. That is part 1, which relates to the life and the contributions of Mahatma Gandhi in the Indian freedom struggle, and part 2, which states the economic and the political thoughts of Mahatma Gandhi. Also, if you haven't watched till now, please do go and watch it. Also, like and subscribe to our We Educate channel. Okay, so the first political idea as advocated by Gandhiji was the idea of an ideal state. Now, according to Gandhiji, state is an organization that is based on force. It is omnipotent in nature. It encircles us today like the coil of a snake from which one cannot get out, no matter how much one tries. He therefore wishes to wrestle with the snake. Now, what does snake here signify? In this quote, snake here signifies the Hobbesian Leviathan state, that was a kind of state of nature that prevailed during the time of Hobbes, where there was complete anarchy and chaos and confusion that prevailed throughout the state. Also, Gandhiji was not in support of the all-comprehensiveness of the state. He said that political power should be one of the means of enabling the people to better their conditions. The necessity of the state arises just because of the imperfection that prevails in the national life. If the national life becomes so perfect as to become self-regulated, there is no representation that is required. There is then a state of enlightened anarchy, and in such a situation everyone is his own ruler. He rules himself in such a manner that there is never a hindrance to his next door neighbor. And in such a state there is no political power because there is no state. But the ideal is never fully realized in life. Therefore, what does Gandhiji wants personally? That there should be no centralization of power in the hands of the state, but an extension of the sense of trusteeship. As in his opinion, the violence of private ownership is less injurious than the violence of the state. So Gandhiji here wants that there should be distribution of power in every aspect, and not only the concentration of power in the hands of the few or in the hands of the state. However, such a situation, if it is unavoidable, then in such a situation, he was in support of minimum state ownership. That is, there should be minimum interference of the state. Thus, while the ideal state of enlightened anarchy is beyond realization, Gandhiji is for minimum state control. He accepts that the government is best when governs the least, and this is to him the second best ideal state. The first being that there should be no concentration of power in the hands of a few. Also, this to him is definitely the second best ideal state, and he identified it with the Swaraj, which he describes as the self-rule and self-restraint, and not freedom from all restraint, which independence often means. He also believes in the sovereignty of the people, which is based on pure moral authority, and this he called Ram Raj. Also, Gandhiji wants everyone to be capable of defending his liberty against the whole world. The real Swaraj lies not in the acquisition of authority by a few, but by the acquisition of the capacity by all to resist authority when abused. And also, state is not supreme, it is only the means of enabling people in order to better their condition in every department of life. And therefore he wants everyone to be capable of defending their liberty against the whole world. This is what he called real Swaraj or Ram Raj. Coming to our next political thought advocated by Gandhiji, that was individual and the state. Now, individual is supreme to the state. He is superior to the system he propounds. And an increase in the power of the state causes proportionate decrease in the will of the individual. This diminishes the individual's will, Gandhiji says. Since individual is the end by himself, his moral regeneration needs the first attention. Individual must have the liberty to act according to the dictates of his goodwill and not merely free will. Therefore, it is essential that individual, people and the government are connected at every level. Government must foster good relations among the people, law and liberty, and the environment that is generated thereafter would be conclusive to the self-realization of the individual. This is the highest aim of an individual and it is possible only through the state. Also, the modern state, according to Gandhiji, was about to destroy individuality, that is, the individual freedom and the spontaneous urge to work by the people. Secondly, the individualism is the root cause of progress. Gandhiji believed that nothing could be done by applying coercion. Again, the individual cannot be forced to do any work against his will or his desire. To put this into other words, according to Gandhiji, the progress of the society can be achieved only through the functions which the individuals perform willingly. Now, the third political idea as advocated by Mahatma Gandhi was democracy, that is, a way of life. Now, what does democracy mean? In simple words, democracy is the art and science of mobilizing the entire physical, economic, and the spiritual resources of all the sections of the people, the different sections of the people, in the service of the common good of all. Now, along with freedom and justice, the third most important thing which requires special mention in the context of Gandhi's views on democracy relates to the fundamental rights of the citizens. As known to us, Gandhiji always laid great stress on morality and ethics in individual and social life both, and calling on people to make ahimsa the center of their day-to-day activities. He also spoke of duties again and again, and undoubtedly he accorded the preference to duties over the rights of the people. Also, people, he said, should not act like sheep. That sheep here signifies without any critical thought or reflection, that is on voluntary terms. People should not act like the sheep, but the liberty of the people, liberty of the opinion and action must be guarded. It should not be acting without the application of mind. While the individual freedom remains supreme, man is essentially a social being. Therefore, there has to be adjustment between the individual freedom and the social restraint that is there. Willing submission to social restraint for the sake of the well-being of the whole society enriches both the individual and the society of which one is a member. Now, Gandhiji supported representative form of government. He was in favor of indirect elections, that is through village panchayat or panchayati raj. He wished that the central power should be based on the universal suffrage that is exercised by a disciplined and politically intelligent electorate. Next political thought advocated by Mahatma Gandhi was the village republic. Now, the ideal state would consist of self-sufficient autonomous villages. This autonomy does not mean that the villages would exist in isolation, but the village communities would join up for mutual help into a corporate whole on the basis of moral will, and the use of coercive power is completely excluded. In such a political structure as advocated by Gandhi, villages would be the main units and the authority within these would remain vested in the panchayat. whose members would be elected on the basis of minimum qualifications by the adult population, which will be both male as well as female. And the village community would be autonomous in nature and its institutions would be democratic in character. It would have full legislative, executive and judicial authority. Also, the economy would be a Swadeshi based economy and self-contained as far as possible. And it would raise crops and cotton, cash crops excluding ganja, tobacco, opium, and such would be restrained from getting raised. The work in the village would be conducted on cooperative basis and there would be schools, public halls, theatres that would be maintained and clean drinking water would be ensured along with proper sanitary facilities. Also, basic education would be made compulsory for everyone and discrimination based on caste, color, creed or any other basis would not be there. Also, Gandhiji made it very clear that the concentration or the centralization of either economic or the political power would violate all the essential principles of participatory democracy, and in order to check this concentration of power in the hands of a few, Gandhiji suggested the institution of village republics, both as institutions of parallel politics as well as units of economic autonomy. And village is the lowest unit of a decentralized system. Also, politically, a village has to be small enough in order to permit everyone to participate directly in the decision-making process that is held, and it is the basic institution of participatory democracy. Also, Gandhiji proposed a scheme of government under the Gandhian constitution, beginning from the primary unit, the village panchayat, to the all India level, that is the all India panchayat, with the powers being assigned to all the levels of the government. Coming to our next political idea advocated by Mahatma Gandhi was nationalism and internationalism. Now we all know that Gandhi was a born nationalist and he sacrificed his interests and himself and his life in the cause of the country, or you can say for the welfare of the people of India. And nationalism was to him a way of life, and he said that one must identify oneself with one's village, community and the nation in which he or she lives in, and one must serve one's immediate neighbors and the whole humanity. He also wished that the country should be free to play its role in serving the humanity. Nationalism was to him a step towards internationalism. That is, if we begin with at the national level, we can move on to international level as well. As a universal humanist, he wished it to bloom into the internationalism. There is no limit to extending our services to our next door neighbors or across states made frontiers. God never made these frontiers. So according to him, there should be no limit in extending the services to the other countries or nations, because these frontiers, these differences have been made by the people themselves, but not as God didn't make these frontiers or differences. He also said that if we want that freedom for his country, he should be deserving of that freedom, and if he did not cherish and treasure the equal rights of every other race, whether they are weak or strong, to the same freedom, then that won't be a deserving freedom. Also, he recognized the fact of the interdependence of the people. He said that he desired the ability to be totally independent without asserting the independence on the others. Also, he wished that the entire world. Now, here he wished that the entire world should be one. That is, there should be cooperation among the people, among different countries, and there should also be exchange that would happen. And as a pacifist, he desired that the international dispute should be settled by peaceful means only, and it was not in support of brute force. Violence only leads to violence. He wanted nations to face aggression by trained non-violent men. And explaining the role of non-violence in the international relations, he laid emphasis on 5 basic principles. Those were self-purification of a non-violent worker, secondly, ability to stand the challenge. Thirdly, realization that non-violence is superior to violence. Fourthly, non-violence, there is no defeat in non-violence. And lastly, faith in the ultimate victory in the non-violent struggle. Also, he held that society is largely regulated by non-violence, and he wished it to be not merely a personal but also a social virtue, and its extension to national and international sphere was most desirable, as said by Gandhiji. And he, however, was cautious of the difficulty that the technique of non-violence was yet in the process of development, and that answer to many questions on its application was yet speculative. But still, he wanted both nationalism as well as internationalism. So with this, we come to the end of part 3 of Mahatma Gandhi, which was about the political ideas advocated by Mahatma Gandhi. Also, don't forget to like the video and subscribe to our We Educate channel, and also visit our Earthrun website and be a member of it in order to get regular updations about the videos, the upcoming videos, as well as the mock tests and the activities that are held by Earthrun. Also, stay connected for part 4 of Mahatma Gandhi. Thank you so much for watching.